Let's talk about the Sony A6000 and taking photos in low light situations and a potential bug that I found. I've been taking pictures for quite a while now with the Sony A6000 in all different types of situations. And recently I've been finding myself taking more pictures in low light situations. Now when this happens, what I typically do is I go into the menu and I go to the live view display and I'll turn it off. And the reason for this is when you do that, your display brightens up and it compensates for that low light. Now that works out great because it allows me to see the subject and do the composition and set focus and all these good things. But the one thing I like to do, and when I'm in a low light situation, if I don't have my off-camera flashes with me, I like to use the onboard flash. And what's really nice about the Sony A6000 is that this flash, it's maneuverable and it's flexible, so it comes back. I don't like the direct on light. I just think it's too harsh. So I like to articulate this back and get some bounce. Now what I've noticed is this. When I go into a low light situation, I set the live display off. What happens is that after doing the composition, I pop my flash, and if I have the live display off and I've got my flash up, I notice something interesting. Let's have a look. We're looking at the back of the Sony A6000. Not sure how well we'll be able to see this. I'm actually recording this from my Nikon D7000 and I have my ISO turned up because the room's relatively dark. So we'll see how this works out, but I want to give you a general overview of the situation. So in this room that's relatively dark, in front of me I have a figurine of Shrek. So who doesn't like Shrek, right? So if you approach a subject and you're in relatively low light, like this situation right now, you might look at this and I have back button focus turned on, so I'm going to go ahead and press it down. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at this here. So, you know, it's able to focus on Shrek, but it's relatively tough to see the composition. And again, I'm not sure how well you're going to see this on the video, but trust me, it's relatively dark in here. So what I would do is come in here under menu and I would go to live view display, and where it says setting effect is on, I would turn this off. Now when I do that, the screen really brightened up, and again I am filming this with my ISO turned up relatively high, but trust me, the image that is on the screen here is not overexposed. It looks great. So nonetheless, I will come back up and I would see Shrek, and I'm going to focus in on his face. So there you go, I've got him. And now we're ready to take a picture. However, I know that I have my ISO set to auto with a maximum ISO of 6400 programmed in. My f-stop is 5.6 and I'm shooting at 1/100th of a second. So I have a couple of options here. I can slow my shutter down a bit, especially if I'm using this handheld, and that'll drop my ISO down a bit. But what I'm inclined to do is I would pop my flash, there you go, and I'm not a big fan of shooting the flash straight on, but maybe I'd bounce it like this, and let's take a look and see what happens. I'm going to let you know when I press this shutter. I'm going to press it right now. Okay, there was no delay that time. We're going to go ahead and do this again. And again, this particular issue doesn't happen every time, so I'm going to press it now. There it is. And you saw that delay. It took about 2 seconds. It's almost as if it reactivated live view, and it had to do that for a couple of seconds before it fired. So let's go ahead and try again. I'm going to press it now. That time we didn't have a problem. We're going to try one more time. I'm going to press it now. There's our delay. So I'm going to go ahead and just shoot straight on. One last try here. I'm going to press it now. And there's our delay again. So here's the solution. when you go into a situation with a relatively dark environment, what I'm inclined to do is I'm going to go ahead and set my live view display back to on. So you walk into it, it's kind of difficult to see. All you really have to do is come in and pop your flash. And if you're going to use the flash, pop the flash, right? Seems to make sense. And when you do that, screen brightens up, and now I can see everything, make my composition, get my focus. And at this point, I should be able to just fire away without any kind of delay. Here we go. There was one, no trouble. And we're going to go again. I'm pressing now, no trouble. We'll shoot straight on. Now, no trouble. And it's just my experience that when we have it set this way, there is no delay at all. And I find this very interesting. I'd like to know what you think. I'd like to know if you see a similar problem. Knowing that this is the 18 to 55 kit lens, and I think this is the only lens I really see this particular issue on. I don't have the same issue with my 18 to 200, nor do I have the issue with the 55 to 210. It just seems to be with this 18 to 55. Now I really like this lens because it's lightweight, it's compact, and it's portable. I shoot with this quite a bit, so I'm just curious to know, is this really a bug, or is this just some type of design feature, as the manufacturers might call it? Regardless, it's not a huge issue, but I find it interesting, and I'm curious to know if other people have the same challenge that I have. And it's kind of odd how I found it. So, nonetheless, post a comment. Let me know your thoughts. I'd like to know. And until the next video, be safe and have yourself a great day.